Welcome to Eric Unfiltered. I am your host, Eric, a Gen Xer from Connecticut, where I get into local and national news, politics, and culture. No topic is off limits, no feelings are spared. No mainstream sugar-coated BS here. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome back. I hope everybody is doing well. As you can see, I have a guest in the studio today. But before I get started, yeah, I know. Look at that. You got a camera there looking at you. But before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to CSB Media Arts Center of Farmington for giving us the use of the studio today. Another perk of going here as a student. My guest here today wears many hats, and he goes by many names. You can hear him on the mornings, Monday through Friday from 6 to 10 a.m. on WDRC 1360 a.m. on the Gary Byron Morning Show. You can also catch him on Radio 104 WMRQ. He is the president and owner of Clover Crest Media Group, LLC. Love the name. Speaking of names, like I said, he goes by several names. Oh, he's also an instructor here at CSB of Farmington. Again, multiple hats. Several names. He is known as Joe, the producer, and Joe Bajiji. I'll simply introduce him as my friend, Joe Aguiar. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, man. Eric, thank you for having me. I appreciate, it's usually me doing the intro part, it's weird to be the guest. So thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you like that intro. I have mentally been preparing that for like 3 days.
Yeah, I'm also a real estate agent. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
A little tidbit.
Speaking of hats, I do wear many hats.
That's why you're such a hard guy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that you put a few hours aside for me today. That's really cool, man. Before we totally get into it, where did that name Bajiji come from? Because the first time I heard Gary use it,
yeah,
I swear I thought I heard him say Vajiji. And he did not seriously just say that. No, there's no way.
That's hilarious.
So where did Bajiji come from?
So when I was first at WDRC, I was talking to them about joining Radio 104. And the producer of Gary's show was going to be making a movie. He was an aspiring movie actor, and it was going to take 3 weeks. And he asked me, he's like, nobody knows how to run this board. Someone needs to produce this show. Is there any way you could do it? Which at first I thought was insane, but I'm trying to leverage my way into work at Radio 104, which is and always has been my favorite radio station. And so. And also, I was told you and Gary are going to hate each other.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Which made it seem very unappealing, and I decided to do it. 3 weeks, sure, okay.
Not to interrupt real quick, for those of you that don't know, the Gary Byron Morning Show is a conservative talk show, radio show.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
And so, to that point, I had never done talk radio before. I had been in radio for 25 years. And so I should say my previous on-air experience with talk radio had come a year earlier. WICC in Bridgeport had called and offered me some fill-in work. They saw my podcast, and they thought it was. I'm a centrist. Okay. People on the right think I'm a liberal. Liberals think I'm a right-wing lunatic. I hear a lot of people talk about common sense and things of that nature. I really am a common sense person. I don't, if you thought Hillary should go to jail, then you should think Trump should go to jail for the raid at Mar-a-Lago. I say we have a classified documents problem.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not into the partisan things. It seems like a lot of these people so that's an issue. We should solve that in a bipartisan fashion and figure out why people are leaving classified information.
You're willing to open your eyes and open your ears and look at the whole big picture.
So if I'm going to go work at a conservative radio station, I'm going to dissect and point out the problems with the Republican Party. I thought that's the audience. That's what should happen. And again, a lot of people will take, well, if you don't like Trump, you're a liberal. No, I'm not a fan of a lot of his work. And I critique it. And when Donald Trump does a good job, I'll be the first person to say, hey, I love that. Great job. Same thing with Joe Biden. When Joe Biden did good, I say good job. When Joe Biden do bad, I say bad job. I just think you got to be objective. That's what I'm trying to do on the radio. Anyway, so I decide I'm going to do this 3-week fill-in, but I'm Joe Aguiar, on-air radio personality, and I'm working my way onto 104. Didn't necessarily want to cross these two over, so I became basically the Hannah Montana of radio. And, Joe Bajiji, Joe the producer, became the guy on DRC so that regular Joe Aguiar could be himself on radio.
So it's almost like a pen name in a way.
Basically, yeah.
Oh.
Here's the other funny thing. I do the 3-week stretch, and I don't know, a couple months later, the producer of the show gives his notice and he quits. On a Sunday afternoon, effective immediately. And so immediately,
the show must go on.
Yeah, immediately they called me up and they were like, hey, can you come in tomorrow? And I had a meeting the next morning that I could have canceled, but I said, no, I can't. I can't do it. And I knew they were going to need to fill that role. And I thought, this guy's making peanuts doing this job. I'm not doing this job for peanuts. Again, I'm also trying to negotiate something with Radio 104. And, so I went in later on Monday, and I met with the boss, and he was like, do you want the job? And I was like, no. You're going to have to sell me on it. And so he was like, you're the only one that can do it. Oh, well, that sounds like a problem for you.
That sounds like a you problem. That sounds like
right. I at the time was running my own media company. Like I said, I do a lot of different things, and if you want me to come work there, you're gonna have to buy me out of the market. And so I was able to negotiate myself a very good deal.
Nice.
And I took the job and started the next day. And it's funny because I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I'm not a producer. I can do it, but is that what I want to do? And I'm also Joe the producer and have been on her podcast for some time.
What's the name of her podcast?
Walk Softly Children. It was originally called Sticky Beak, which that's a whole story unto itself. But it's a true crime podcast, and I produce it. I produce a lot of podcasts, especially true crimes. And, so that's who I am. I am Joe the producer. That is something that I do. It's not my favorite thing to do. And so that's sort of why that was a separate character. Joe the producer is not Joe Aguiar, radio star. You know what I mean?
Radio star.
Not my words. That's what other people call me.
Yeah, I've heard one person say that you're the pride of Meriden. So I've heard one person.
Who said that?
You.
Yeah. I am.
That's right, because you're a Connecticut boy.
I don't understand how Meriden doesn't have a statue of me or hasn't named anything after me at this point. I am Meriden's #1 supporter, and Meriden has done nothing in the way of honoring me or anything. And I think that's a real shame because, really, if you look at the history of Meriden, not a lot of greatness has come out of there. John Jenkins, NFL football player, he's certainly one of them. But outside of that, few and far between.
Then after today, we're going to start a petition. We need a Joe Bajiji statue.
Listen, I won't start the petition, but if someone else starts it, I'll sign it.
So when you took the position to be permanently on with Gary, okay, Gary's a conservative guy. You're more, as the ad says, more in the middle. Okay, we'll roll with that.
Yeah.
How did that go about? Because, sometimes there's on-air personalities, they don't get along. They're off-air. Like, on-air, they're great, but then off-air, and you guys clearly, either you're faking it till you make it, but on-air, your chemistry is great.
We went to lunch the second day. Basically first and foremost, he asked me if I was trying to get his job. which
No
I thought
kidding.
was pretty legit.
All right.
And I said, no, I don't want your job, but I do want to work on your show, and like in what capacity? I suppose it's what you want from me. You know, I've always been a host, so sort of taking a back seat. You know, I can do it. I don't want to just sit there though. And so, you know, we cut out what my role would be, and it's evolved quite a bit. And it's funny, initially, a lot of his friends were like, this guy talks like way more than any of the other producers. And he was like, he's not just a regular producer. And, you know, in fact, what I found was, again, having been told we wouldn't get along, and the fact that he's very pro-Trump, and I'm pro the president of the United States.
Yeah, if the president does well, we all do well.
That's always been and I hear a lot of people say that, and I don't think most people mean it when they say it. I really do mean it. You know, I want to see Joe Biden do well. I want to see Barack Obama do well. I want to see George W. Bush, Donald Trump, whoever. We should always be rooting for the president.
Yeah.
But I think we should also all be objective when the president is doing something that goes against our personal principles or our personal viewpoints, right?
Anything questionable.
Sure. You know, recently President Trump brought up capping credit cards at 10%. And the MAGA crowd was like, yeah, that is an AOC Bernie idea.
Yep. That is a communist idea.
And it's like, now what do you do?
That's price capping.
Right? Now suddenly you're like, well,
It's over. But that's okay over here, though.
but he
because
said
Trump,
just for a little while, and it's like, okay, so you're excusing something that violates your principles,
but
and
it's
I gotta
temporary.
tell you, right? You're going to try to make excuses for your guy. This
Yep.
is not a team sport.
Correct.
We all need to look. I think the Republican Party is very much out of control. It's very undisciplined at the national level, and it's a shame. I mean, I don't think real conservatives have the voice they had in that party. You know, it's the MAGA party right now. And I think the Republican Party needs to figure out how to get that back, because MAGA's not enough to win anything.
Correct.
And we live in Connecticut, where the MAGA
Who's never
crowd's
going to win here.
even smaller.
Correct.
And unfortunately, you know, I was talking to my son earlier today about Bob Stefanowski,
Okay.
who I happen to like personally. I
He
talked.
ran for
He
governor.
ran for
a few
governor
years. Yep.
twice. Now, the interesting thing was he did better the first time. He lost by 3.5% the first time. In the second go-around, he lost by 13%. He spent the 4 years after his first loss campaigning, knowing he was going to make another run, and he did 10 points worse. Why? Doesn't it seem like the more people got to know who he was,
The less the people like
the
him.
less they liked him?
Mm-hmm.
His support by hardcore Republicans was not strong. They didn't think he was conservative enough.
Mm-hmm.
People who aren't conservative thought he was a right-wing wacko.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's a tough way to be painted. I think you could blame the liberal media machine to a certain extent, but I would also make the argument Fox News draws more viewers than all the liberal networks combined.
Yep.
So I don't know. I necessarily buy that.
Well, plus that obviously I'm sure happens in predominantly red districts of red states where somebody running as a Democrat gets a little slightly railroaded by the media, and yeah, they can sit there and go, the media is the reason why I lost. Oh yeah, you may have an argument there.
Imagine being a Democrat in Kentucky and you're like anti-2A.
Good luck with that.
I mean, it's like
It's an uphill
it's like
battle.
being a Republican in Connecticut
and being pro 2A.
and being pro 2A. There you go.
It's difficult.
It is very difficult. And you know, look, it's funny. Think about the politicians in this country that are the most controversial. Okay,
Trump.
I'll throw some names at you.
Well.
Throw Trump out the window for a minute. I mean,
Okay.
I mean on the lower level, Matt Gaetz,
Yep.
Dan Crenshaw, AOC, Nancy Pelosi. What job do all of those people have?
Drawing attention to themselves.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. What job? What house are they in?
No idea.
They're in Congress.
Me personally, I have no idea.
They're in the House of Representatives. You don't see a lot of senators that are super controversial because you got to win a statewide election. Winning a statewide election and being a little cuckoo left or right is very hard to do.
Yeah.
There's a reason Nancy Pelosi never ran for the Senate in California. Way too liberal. She'd never win. AOC will never be a senator in New York. She's very popular in the Bronx, where she represents, because the people in the Bronx are similar to her, right? Pick a congressional district. Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be a lunatic. Now she's been much more
tame.
Yeah. The next person.
Still talking about space lasers, but
There's a special election there April 7th, and I can guarantee you the conservative and it could be a lunatic running in that seat. They'll easily win. It's a very Republican district. My point is, Congress people represent a smaller area of a state. And if that state is a big MAGA part, your person's going to be MAGA. And if they're coming from a deep blue pocket, they're going to be super progressive liberal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why you see these people in Congress, and they're the loudest ones, because they represent a district where they're very safe. That's the problem. And that's why I think people really need to, I hate to say this, but every 4, 6, 8 years, I think you just swap out what you have.
Yeah.
If you've had Democrats in charge,
just flip it.
Throw the Republicans in there.
Why not?
Give them 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and then you could always go back. I think you got to keep the politicians honest.
Absolutely.
Because, I'll my favorite comparison is this, not to make this all super political, but just, again, the idea of common sense. Kentucky,
yep,
all Republican, right?
Yep.
They're like the opposite of Connecticut, right? The state house, the governor, everybody in Kentucky is a Republican. 13 of the 15 poorest counties in the United States are in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Connecticut, it's been blue for 40 years, right?
Oh, yep.
We have a supermajority in the House, the Senate, the governorship, all the executive branch, all Democrat. And the state's unaffordable, and it's, I think, heading in the wrong direction.
Yep.
And my point here being, I think any time you have one-party rule in any state, if you're not able to or willing to elect someone from the other party every now and again, just to keep everybody honest, it's less about them serving constituents at this point, because
if they're comfortable.
These people are always thinking about re-election.
Yes.
They're always thinking about re-election. And if they know they're going to win, there's no reason for them to do the things they should be doing for you. They can kick the can down the road.
Yep.
And they're going to, again, to see Democrats in Connecticut running on the affordability issue that they've created in this state
Thank you.
is insane. It really is an insane thing.
Yes.
You could blame Trump to a certain extent. There were federal funds that were cut. So we're,
sure.
But again,
okay,
we have a rainy day fund to make up for that kind of stuff. We have the kind of savings to take care of that. To blame the affordability issue in this state on Donald Trump squarely is completely unfair.
He hasn't been in office for 40 years like y'all have.
It's their policies that have put us in the place. But again, you could make the same. So, right, you're like, well, Democratic policies don't work. Ask Kentucky if that's true. They've been running basically Republican policies for 40 years, single-party rule, and the state's a disaster. Why is that? Again, I don't think it has anything to do with Democratic or Republican philosophies. I think it's having an unmotivated legislature that isn't worried about reelection and then thus doesn't care. You'll note here in the great state of Connecticut, Ned Lamont suddenly is thinking about rebates on our electrical and
$200 check. Yeah.
Special things for veterans. I mean, he's been proposing all sorts of great ideas. And it's like, oh, is there an election in 8 months? Is that why suddenly this is...
Yeah.
Right. Now suddenly he cares. Now suddenly he notices how unaffordable things have become, and he needs to blame somebody that's not him.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this in fairness to, again, while the state has become completely unaffordable, he did a really nice job of taking care of our obligations. The CBAC agreement, the teacher union pensions, was a giant disaster, and it was crippling the state.
Yes.
He fixed that and paid down a lot of the debt, and we are in a much better financial situation as a state, but we still have a terrible unaffordability problem for regular people. And, again, I'm not telling people what to do, but I would strongly consider looking at the options and asking yourself, again, the idea that Ned Lamont crushed Bob Stefanowski so much the second time through, you would have thought things were utopias.
Awesome. Yeah,
and
exactly.
they weren't, and so that surprises me. And so, again, I would hope that they don't just blindly reelect this guy. Put a little thought into it. And
do your research.
I think at the very least, give this guy a reason to follow up on the things that he's throwing out there right now, because it's easy to say things before an election.
Yeah.
But when you're the sitting governor with a supermajority, you could probably implement all of those things before the election.
Yeah. What's stopping you now?
Nothing is stopping you right now.
Just do it now.
You
have no roadblocks.
You're in session with a supermajority. You can make all these things happen. Put your money where your mouth is. And if everything's not going to happen until after the election, then you know these are empty campaign promises. So ask yourself. That would be my suggestion. And again, this is what I do, Eric. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think, but I look at everything
objectively,
because I think that's the only way to do it. I've heard a lot of people say Ned's a super liberal. Oh my God, he's
milquetoast.
He's more right than I am. I could tell you that. And again, I find myself quite in the middle.
As the advert says.
There you go. Again, if you asked me in the last gubernatorial election in Connecticut who was more liberal and who was more conservative, I would tell you it was the opposite.
And Ned was more
I think
conservative.
Bob Stefanowski is more liberal, and I think Ned Lamont's more conservative. Ned Lamont, in his first term, some of the people in his own party were suggesting he add a 1.5% tax to the ultra-wealthy. Then that whole nonsense about tolls, they could have immediately thrown that to the curb. This 1.5% increase in the 1% basically would have paid everything. We would have been sitting pretty. You know who was against that vehemently? Country Club Ned. Because Ned Lamont is a billionaire. Or at least damn close to it. And so when he's
he would be affected.
When he's at the country club too, man.
Or his buddies. His
right?
buddies are
How are you going to tell your golfing buddies that you're jacking everybody's taxes up? He refused to even talk about that, to even consider that as an option. You would think a liberal would. I mean, look at Mamdani in New York. Right?
Hell, the liberals would jump over Trump on his budget. Oh, he's saving his billionaire buddies' money. Well, so is that guy. Just call it fair, bro. That's all I want. Just call it fair. Everybody sucks. Let's just call it fair.
I'm looking for one thing from everybody else, and that's consistency.
Yes.
Just be consistent. Again, if you thought Hillary should go to jail for the emails, but you thought Mar-a-Lago was okay because it was a setup or whatever, you're a bipartisan hack. You are.
I've heard you say this before.
I've said that before,
Several times.
And I truly mean it. Look, if you thought Joe Biden should get arrested for having classified info in his garage in Delaware, but you thought the stuff at Mike Pence's office in Indiana was okay, you're being a partisan hack. Again, I say either put all four in jail or put nobody in jail and figure out why you have such a classified documents problem in this country.
We have this severe systemic
because
problem.
Really, at the end of the day, none of them are going to jail. You know none of them are going to jail. But at the end of the day, Eric, you know what? When there's classified documents sitting in an unclassified area, there are legit human assets whose lives are at risk when we're careless with documents. So rather than put Hillary in jail or prosecute Trump or whatever, let's look at the actual problem here, and let's consider the actual fallout from that you're literally risking assets. People who have spent 10, 20 years infiltrating a group, and their name's just on a document in a dining room. That's not good. And
with the safe houses they could be staying at.
Correct.
Like,
hello.
Bro, why? What made you get into radio? What about radio sparked your interest?
All right.
Oh.
This is kind of a funny story.
Oh, okay.
Right. I was a big Rush Limbaugh fan when I was a kid.
EIB network.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because to this, I mean, Gary Byron and I are both big Rush guys. We enjoyed him, and not necessarily the politics, because there's a lot of stuff with Rush, especially over the end of his run. There were a lot of things I didn't agree with him on as opposed to when I was younger. It was the style. It was somewhat bombastic. It was also sometimes lighthearted, moments of brevity. I think you can't be serious all the time. I made a joke about the Ayatollah of Iran yesterday.
Yes, you did.
Being caught between Iraq and a hard place. And it needed to be said. It needed to be said. It was just a light moment. I think most people enjoyed it.
Your guest, she chuckled.
Yeah, I think other people, maybe some people were like, "What an idiot." That's fine. I just felt that
I did text you.
Little moment. I thought it needed to be addressed.
It was like a little grenade joke. Pull the pin, toss it, give it a minute, then it goes off. Yeah.
So, when I was a senior in high school, my girlfriend's mother bought me Rush Limbaugh's book. Okay. And she was always like, "Oh, you'd be great on the radio." And my mother had always told me when I was a kid, she thought I should be the Yankees announcer, because we would watch the Yankee game every night. 7:00, turn on WPIX, and I know there's a lot of sports guys out there, and a lot of them come to this school for this same reason. You're watching the game, and you're like, "Oh, this is a perfect hit and run situation," and then a second later, the announcer goes, "We got a perfect hit and run situation here," and then they do the hit and run, and my mother would be like, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" And it's like, because I understand baseball and I know what a good time the hit and run is. Yeah. This is nothing special. I don't think it's really anything special. But yeah, so I was always kind of interested in broadcasting. I won a scholarship to college, full scholarship. And
Wait, you?
Yeah, correct, yes. I won a Presidential Merit Scholarship to Southern Connecticut State University's Honors College.
I am fucking floored.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
right.
I am, despite what I look like, I am very smart. And I did do very well in school. And I'll tell you, Eric, I'm one of those people, I think, that annoys other people. I don't really study hard.
It just comes to you.
Sometimes I wouldn't even read the whole book. It's like I read half of it. I get the gist. And I could have a conversation with you, and you're like, "Man, that is such a great perspective." And it's like,
you're so insightful.
Yeah, I didn't even finish it. I didn't need to. School just came naturally. Answers. I mean, I could look at a math equation. I'm not good at showing you how. I can solve a lot of math equations just by, I get like a feeling what the answer is, and I work backwards. I would stick my answer into the algebraic equation working backwards, right? And if I'm way off, it's like, I'll try a different number and then work backwards. And, yeah, I could figure out most answers rather easily. Yeah, so I won a Presidential Merit Scholarship. Wow. But then at the same time, I was also becoming very social. And those things didn't mix well because as a guy who didn't study a lot,
being social's fun.
Being social's nice, but it also does tend to get you into trouble. Yeah. And I was more or less, first I was kicked off campus, like the residential part of campus.
So, like, you couldn't live there anymore.
Correct.
So, you can come, but
I could.
Get
not
out.
only could I not live there, they didn't want me in that part of the campus at all. I had worn out my welcome on 3 solid occasions.
Oh.
I was on a first-name basis with the Dean of Discipline at Southern Connecticut State University to the point where I smoked a cigarette in his office after the ban went into effect. I didn't do it. He and I smoked a cigarette in his office together after the law had passed. That's the relationship that we had.
So he's like, "You're a pain in the ass, but you're kind of cool. Want more, bro?"
Yeah, he really, for some reason, well, again, so Eric, again, not to get all political, but when I heard the term white privilege for the first time,
there you go.
I was like, "Oh, I know what that is." I had a lot of that.
Yeah.
Anytime I got in trouble, people would be like, "You seem like a really good kid. You messed up here, and it's fine." I messed up so much all the time, and I kept hearing that. And so as people were like, "This white privilege," yeah. I would hand papers in late and still get full credit. Get pulled over. I mean, I've been pulled over.
You're such a sweetheart.
I've been pulled over in my life, Eric, I would say 100 times.
Bro.
And I've gotten 5 tickets. The last time I got pulled over, I shouldn't say the last time because maybe it wasn't the last time, but I got pulled over some years ago.
A recent time, yes.
Smoking a blunt.
Oh, good.
And I almost ran a cop over.
So, do you realize what you just admitted?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
There's statute of limitations.
There we go. Yes. It was 20 years
This
ago.
cop walked over, and as he was walking over, I put the blunt out in my cup of coffee.
As one would.
I mean, right? The place reeks of weed. And he put his hand on my arm and was like, "Pal, what's the big rush?" And I was like, "Oh, my God, I'm so sorry." I go, "I was totally speeding around that corner.
Oh my God.
I saw you. I didn't want to hit the brakes and scare you, so I kind of eased up, but I'm late to meet my buddies to golf." And he patted my arm, and he went, "Slow down and have a good round." And off I went. So
you whipped out the old
are
card.
are we treated differently? Oh yeah, I think that is a reality. I think that people who don't see that are unfortunate, or maybe live in places where maybe they are the minority. I don't know, but yeah, I totally understood what white privilege was as soon as I heard about it. I was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna love this.
You've been riding that.
Could do whatever you want." Again, to that point, right? So I get kicked out of college a year later, and
just flat out, just don't.
Yeah,
come back.
they were like, "You're not allowed to come here anymore.
Keep
Just,
giving us
this
money,
is-
but that's right, scholarship.
yeah, this is too much. Now you have to go." And so I moved in with some buddies. I lived with my friends for a year.
What was there a final straw, like one big thing that made them say get out, or was it? Just...
I threw up on somebody
Okay.
out a window through a fan.
Fucking A.
It was the most insane thing. I literally, as I was throwing up out the window, I watched it get sucked into a fan. And I was like, "What the?" And it landed on a girl.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, "Now you know you have to leave, right?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I already packed."
All right. Sorry. So they kicked you out.
Yeah, so I was completely done. So I moved in with
Jesus.
some buddies of mine. I got a job at a retail shop. And one day, I had gone out partying the night before. And I didn't want to go to work the next day, so I called up and I was like, "Hey, I don't feel so hot. I'm not going to make it in today. Can you just pass that on to the boss?" And this woman was like, "Oh, I'll let him know." So the next day I come into work, Eric, and that woman came up to me. Her name was Robin. God bless Robin.
God bless Robin.
She said, "I don't know if anyone's ever told you this. You have a really sexy morning voice." I said, "Oh, thanks, Robin."
All right.
And she goes, "You should go to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting." I go, "Oh." She goes, "Have you ever heard of it?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" It's like a broadcasting. She's like, "Yeah, you could learn to be on the radio." I'd listen to you. And I was like, "Oh, yeah." So for the next 5 hours, Eric, I walked around feeling super confident. And this woman came back up to me around lunchtime and she goes, "Hey, I'm serious." She goes, "You should look into it. Connecticut School of Broadcasting." And I went home that night. And my dad was very disappointed in all of my failures at this point. So, "Hey, Dad, I want to go to another school. What do you say?" And I kind of approached it that way. And as soon as I said Connecticut School of Broadcasting, his face lit up. And I had not known this until that day. My father was a graduate of this Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
No kidding. This right here.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was up the street, but yes,
that's
the
cool.
Farmington campus.
That's cool.
And I grew up there was a lot of equipment in my basement, sort of like there is now. My dad never built out a studio, but he had all the components: record players, microphones, mic stands, headphones. And I used to take that stuff, and we had this really nice armchair, two next to each other, and I would pretend I was either flying the Millennium Falcon or the USS Enterprise.
Nice.
I had there was a reel-to-reel machine in my basement, and I didn't know. Yeah, everything was there.
Reel-to-reel.
I could have been training from the time I was a baby. Anyway, my father was like, "Oh, you're going there." And as it turns out, my brother, sister, and I, 72, 74, 75. I'm sorry, 72, 73, 75. 15 months apart. Irish twins.
Mm-hmm.
Every 15 months, my mom popped out a baby. So my older brother's 3 years older than me, almost to the day. And my sister's 15 months older than me.
Wow.
Yeah. My father, when he found out my mother was pregnant in late November 74, he was working for Metro North Railroad and interning at WDRC.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. For Walt Dibble.
Not familiar with the name.
Walt Dibble's Rob Dibble's father.
Okay,
Rob,
I was familiar with the last name.
Eventually, yeah. I did some ESPN stuff with Rob Dibble, which was cool. We got to, his father literally was my father's instructor at CSB, and then my dad interned there. So that was kind of neat too. But yeah, as soon as I said CSB, he was like, "Let's do it. We're going. You're going there."
That's cool.
And I came to CSB. They handed me a script, one take, which to this day I still give me a script, I'll nail it.
I heard your news the other day.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago.
It's funny. So we have our news guy
Mm-hmm.
writes the news and sends it to me, between 5:30 and 6. And as you said the other day, he did not do the news. And he texted me at about 3 minutes to 6 and was like, "Hey, man, news is going to be late if I can even get to it today."
Oh, no.
And so not only did I do that news live, I wrote it in under 3 minutes.
Jesus.
I got a lot of kudos from people, and it's like,
What do, man?
that is the least of my concerns. Oh, I'll show you. I don't want to give up any state secrets on the radio,
No.
but this is something I've always just been really good at. It's something I could do on the fly. I don't, I tell you all the time, I don't like the impromptu, just, hey, let's go in the studio and we'll just shoot the shit, see what happens. I think that's the worst way to do anything. You got to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what you're doing. You got to know kind of where you want to get off. And for me, it's always just come naturally to me. I just sort of get it. I understand, and I've always been very socially aware of things and people around me. I've always kind of been a big picture guy, which I think when you're talking about broadcasting, I think you got to look at the bigger picture, right? I was literally just telling a woman before we went live here, right, that anybody can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Turning on the equipment and pushing buttons, that's not hard. How do you do this but do it well? And I think there's a component to that, and I think part of it is having personality.
Yes.
I've literally in my career, I've never filled out an application. I've never applied for a job with the intent on trying to get it.
Really?
The only job I ever applied for, I applied for as leverage in a negotiation with the place I was at. And only because they didn't pony up did I even take the job that I had applied to. But otherwise, no, I've never. Again, I mentioned ICC. I was doing a podcast and very focused on podcasting and doing that. And they were like, "Want to come work here at this conservative station?" And you're not saying any of the things our people here are saying. And it's like, what?
What?
Why would you want that? Because you're good at it. Somebody told me some years ago, they're like, you say things that are slightly left-leaning, but you say them like a right-wing broadcaster. And I never heard that before. And I thought, oh, is that a compliment? And he's like, yeah, I think that's why people listen to and they take in what you're saying because the style you deliver it in is familiar. It's just the things you're saying are not. And I have found, honestly, Eric, and I know I had told you this, but the conservative audience at ICC was very open, usually took a day or two, to hearing a little bit more about democratic socialist ideas, things like universal health care. I brought a doctor on who explained the whole process. And at the end of it, people were like, why don't we have it? And I was like, outside of AOC and Bernie, you do not hear any Democrats pushing for it. There's no Republicans pushing for it. That should tell you all you need to know.
Follow the money.
There's only two people
Always
who are
follow
like,
the
this
money.
is a really good idea and would save us a ton of money and make your life better. And then everyone else is like, no, we're not doing that. Why not? I'm curious. Tell me why we're not doing that. Because, I mean, listen, healthcare in this country is broken.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. And it's a thing that it can be fixed. And the only way it's ever going to get fixed is if we work together to fix it.
Yeah.
And we deserve it. So you should ask your politicians to work together to figure something out. I think that's super important. All right, and getting back to my story. Yeah, I went to CSB and I was in a class of 20. I was the standout Jim Robinson who
Class
runs
of
the
20,
place now.
wow.
Yeah, 20 people in my class, and I was a standout from the word go. I knew immediately I was going to be really good at that. All my instructors were like, "Oh my God, like you're gonna be something here." Like we could just tell. And I don't know. I mean, I you know what I think my number one quality is, Eric? I'm charming.
Yes, you
I
are
can
quite
tell you things you don't want to hear and say it in a way that you're at least open to hearing it.
where you
And
don't want to punch you in the face.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I was explaining to my son. My son's been in 2 fights recently. He got beat up both times. And I've explained to him, I've been in some fights in my life. I've also been in about 100 situations where there could have been a fight. And it's this tongue that's gotten me out of it each and every time, and not in a pussy way, but in a, oh, you know what? This guy making some good points over here.
Probably got you in that situation.
100%.
Exactly.
My mouth gets me into it and just as quickly can get me out of it. And oftentimes you'll buy me a beer after we almost come to blows. And so I've just always been able to do this. And I don't know what it is because I'm not good at many other things. There's maybe a wiffle ball is the only other thing I'm very good at.
I do know that you can open and close pools. And just the other day, you changed your own oil.
I did, yeah.
So very manly of you.
Thank you. Thank you. More lazy than manly, but thank you. Yeah. Here's the other thing. I feel like you can do anything.
Sure.
This is going to be an anti-religious tirade for just a hot second. I did an interview with a woman the other day, like a motivational life coach kind of person, and I said to her, and this was embarrassing because she respectfully disagreed immediately. I know a lot of people who would overcome some diversity in their life, alcoholism, death in the family,
drugs, whatever. Yep.
A disabled child from birth, whatever the case may be. And I hear a lot of people also say, I thank Jesus Christ for giving me the courage to make it through there. I don't think that was Jesus Christ. I think that was you mustering the courage yourself. And I think you should be proud of yourself. And I think giving credit to anyone else is ridiculous. And that woman respectfully declined. She's all about a higher power, which, listen, that's fine.
To each their own.
You can, but at the same time, I think you still need to recognize in yourself that the only way you're going to make things happen or get things done is to believe in yourself. Because no one is going to believe in you or your abilities if you don't believe in them yourself.
Facts.
And I also think if there's something I'm able to do, it's I protrude this level of confidence and reassuredness in the things that I say. And I don't know where that came from, and I'm thankful that I have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So again, listen, I think part of me and what's made me successful is just sort of inherent in me. And to come here, I was able to tap into that and to find it. I was a little bit of an introvert too when I got here, and to do this, you need to be an extrovert.
Yes,
and
you do.
so it became and I talked to a lot of on-air people about this. You turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. And I think it drives a lot of people mad. I just decided to throw the switch on one day.
And just left it on.
That just became who I was, and the confidence that I'm able to tap into. That's just my presentation solely.
Have you ever had a major foobar while live on air?
Oh God, two. I could tell you the two worst things that have ever happened to me. It was 2004.
Oh, that was for you probably when the Red Sox won.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, funny. So this is right after that. Right after the collapse. And by the way, I was working in Maine about a month prior to that. And the Red Sox, by the way, were on the cusp of the playoffs. They had not locked in a spot. They would eventually win the wild card. And before I left Maine, all Red Sox fans I worked with, I said, if you guys make the playoffs, you will win the World Series. I thought Curt Schilling, who was the big acquisition the year before, the Yankees beat them in 7 in 2003 on the Boone homer.
Yep.
And the Red Sox
R.I.P.
literally, Tim Wakefield. I met Tim, by the way, wonderful guy.
That's all I ever heard about him.
He was
just
such a
dude,
such a fantastic human being.
Nice
yeah,
dude.
I mean, I literally
and his wife.
I led with I'm a Yankee fan, but you've always been one of my favorite players. I'm a knuckleball guy in wiffle ball. When I used to play baseball, I used to throw a knuckle curve.
Yep.
I just always loved the knuckleball, and so I was a big Tim Wakefield fan for that reason. I didn't like that he was a Red Sox, but I respected him, and he was great about that. But now I forgot where I was going with that.
I was asked you about times you food
Oh yeah, okay.
right before the
so we're
postseason.
right around that time. So now it's Halloween, right? I think by then the Red Sox had already wrapped up the World
I think
Series.
they wrapped it up on the 28th. I think.
So, actually, no. So now this is November 1st. This is the following day after Halloween. I was doing the news on the KC 101 morning show. And I shouldn't admit this, but I often don't pre-read the news.
That's a no-no.
I go in,
We were
I would
taught that,
print
Joe.
the first 2 national stories and the first local story. And there wasn't, sometimes there'd only be 1 or 2 local stories. And so I try to mix them up if I could. Anyway, I print out a new local story. I start doing the headlines. And the local story was about a little boy whose Halloween costume lit up and he got burned. Now, in my mind, I pictured this scenario.
This ought to be good.
This is what my brain was doing while I was telling the story. I pictured a little kid in a Darth Vader costume with a cape walking past an open flame and bursting into flames.
Okay. Like
And-
a cape catching or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he just lights up. And so I kind of did like a... It made me laugh for like a hot second, and then I caught myself like, okay, nope. And Jim Bozzi from the Oakdale was in studio, and Jim is Greek and has very thick, good-looking fellow, but he's a very thick eyebrows.
Okay.
And the one eyebrow, when I did the partial laugh, his eyebrow went up,
Oh, no.
and I lost it.
Oh, no.
I could not stop laughing. My dear friend and morning show partner at the time, Mary Scanlon, threw me under the bus.
Hey.
What's so funny? And I was
What
like,
up, Mary?
nothing! I'm not laughing! Vinny Penn was the male host on that show. He was trying to defend me. He's not laughing at that, Mayor. He's laughing at something else. And
No.
I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh,
and
man.
I was obviously not laughing at a child being on fire.
Clearly.
It was the visual in my head, which was so cartoonish and goofy, and I don't know why that popped into my brain.
Could you imagine?
And then it was Bozzi's eyebrow, and those two just put me over the top, and I lost it. And as it turned out, the family was listening, and they were very upset.
Oh, man.
And again, I'll say this about myself, Eric. When I mess up, I will be the first to own that I messed up.
Yep.
And the program director was like, I think you should call the family. Right? They called up an aunt or something. I said, give me the number, and I'll call them myself. And I did, and they were great. We had a really nice conversation. I explained I was a father. I explained, again, I'm an idiot, and I wasn't laughing about that. Just in my head, then I lost it, and I couldn't stop. Then the other time, the other worst moment on the air, same thing. Now I'm at the river. I'm doing the news, and I decided to pick up a new local story without pre-reading. Printed it out.
Didn't learn your lesson?
No, I did not learn my lesson
okay.
because I don't. But this is now you're talking, this is probably 6 years later.
Oh, so yeah, you
totally forgotten.
Yep, good. We're good.
I'm going to tell you, right? I do the first story. I do the second story. I'm going to read you the third story. Okay?
Okay.
A man walked into the IRS office in New London this morning and shot himself in the face with a flare gun.
What? There goes my camera.
Whew.
You got to pick up my camera. That's got to be.
And then I said, I catch myself laughing. I take a deep breath. The next sentence, Eric, goes, police are not sure of the man in the face with a flare gun.
Jesus.
I lost my shit. I could not stop laughing.
That's fucking hilarious.
Absolutely the most ridiculous. It was the worst written thing I'd ever seen in my life. I don't know why.
Shot himself in the face with a flare gun.
And then police aren't sure why he shot himself in the face.
He's knucking futz.
With a flare gun.
Because he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, so those were my two worst
Oh
moments on air where I absolutely couldn't control the laughter. Otherwise, I've never sworn.
That was going to be my next one. Have you ever dropped a naughty one?
It's funny. People ask me all the time because my wife says I insert the word fuck mid-sentence a lot at home in casual conversation.
Yes.
And yet, when I'm on the radio, my brain knows that those words are off limits. I think you'll notice I'm a very deliberate speaker.
On the microphone.
As I'm talking, I'm trying to make sure I say the right words. I think the most important thing in being a broadcaster is that you start with credibility. And every time you say something stupid or wrong, you drop to the point where eventually you're just saying things and no one's taking it seriously. So I try to make sure I'm saying exactly what I want to say. I'm not afraid to pause. I'm not afraid of silence.
Yes. I know.
Some people hate that.
Some people absolutely hate.
I'll tell you where I really learned to harness the pause was working at WICC, doing live talk radio on air for the first time. And I would drop some bomb, some big information.
And then just let it sit.
And then just sit there for 5, 6, 7 seconds, which I know doesn't sound like a lot to normal people, but for us,
dead air, that
is an infinite amount of dead space. And I would do it, and again, it was very deliberate because I really wanted people to really think about what I said and to not immediately just move on to the next thing. And I think that was very effective. Again, if I'm telling you something you don't want to hear, I need to deliver it in a way that you're not immediately defensive about.
Yeah, articulate it well and clearly.
And I think you need to be able to process what I'm saying. So again, I'm not afraid to deliberately and slowly deliver it and then pause just a little tiny bit just to let you really, did he just say that? Oh my God. Well, I don't agree with that. And then I would pick it up. And I it's funny, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but during the 80s at 8, when I was on the river, so 8 to 9, the ratings on that show were off the charts. My numbers were probably double, triple the number 2 person, okay? And it was all based on this very popular hour that was mostly musically driven, okay?
Because the 80s.
Right. So right, I mean, again, the ratings were huge, and it anybody could have been doing it. It was really more the music and, again, the way we structured the commercial breaks. But I did a bit called the 80s Timeline, where I would, at the bottom of the hour, I would give you a movie, like explain a movie and a news headline and either something musical or something pop culture. And I would be like, in which year do the following things take place? All right, give you the things. Was it 1986, 1987, or 1988? I'll tell you the answer coming up next. And then I would go into the commercial break. And as the show got very popular, again, the ratings were through the roof. And as I would meet people, a lot of people would be like, "Oh my God, dude, I love the 80s at 8, especially your trivia thing."
It makes them think about it.
And I go, "What do you mean?" You do the trivia contest, and I'm
Contest?
like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Yeah. We got to guess which year the thing happened. I go, "Oh, that's the timeline." Yeah. I talked to so many people about
contest,
Eric, and
though.
everybody thought it was something that they have to guess.
It's not a contest.
And so I made a little adjustment
That's
on
funny.
how I delivered it, and I would be like, was it 1986, 1987, or 1988? I'll tell you the answer next. They were guessing,
Yep.
and I paused to allow people
Sitting in their car.
to audibly guess the answer, or in other cases, people who knew me would text me the year. When I found out people thought it was a trivia contest, something to sort of participate in,
Lean into it.
I just try to pause to make it a little more interactive so that this is your spot. Now you say the answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that I've always been good at. Again, when I talk about the big picture of this business, it's the idea of people's perception of things is reality. And so, again, to go back to our, I think, pre-show amble about it is what it is, if people are taking what you're doing as something, then that's what it is, and you got to work off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've always just been good at pivoting and like, okay, you think it's this, then that's what we're doing. And I think that is, again, just to be able to respond to what people are thinking. I used to do a daily video every morning at 7:20. I'm like, hey, I made this video. It's pretty funny. Kind of explain what's going on there. And I would say, you could check it out. And I'd give the website. And people would email me from their cars bitching that they couldn't go to the website to see the video because they're in their car.
Yeah.
Okay, legit.
Fair.
I didn't mean right now.
Duh.
Okay,
but-
so then you know what? Why don't I say that? So I would explain the video, and I'd be like, hey, if you get a chance tonight or at work or tonight after you put the kids to bed, really any point before the week is out, and I would tell them where it is on the website. And those emails stopped coming in. Again, it was just this idea of like, I can't do it now, stupid. Okay, so I should stop telling them to do it now and make this sound like, no, on your time when you get a chance, it's worth it. I promise you're going to love this.
Worth the wait.
Yeah,
Check it
so
out, man.
Cut out some time tonight, tomorrow, whenever. Again, it became, I got to respect people's time. And so, again, I'm able to make the adjustments on the fly. I'm always trying to make sure I'm doing what they need me to do for them. And that's always been my approach to broadcasting, which, again, is why when I got into politics, the idea isn't I'm going to tell you what I think or I'm going to defend my politician. I'm going to defend my party, and I don't want to hear anything else. You know what an activist judge is?
Heard of it.
It's a judge that rules against your interest.
Correct.
Because, right, everybody blames activist judges when they rule against you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an activist judge. No, that was a judge who ruled based on precedent and evidence, as they all do. You just didn't like the result, you fucking baby. Just say that.
OJ's guilty.
Right?
Damn it.
It's like, oh, these activist judges, they're letting all these killers out. It's like, the guy didn't see the evidence there. Like, what are you talking about?
Blame the prosecutor.
Sure, right? Also, most of the time, it's like it's a grand jury. So the judge didn't do anything.
The judge just reads
Yes.
what he was handed.
Yes.
Or she was handed.
They
just
said
go,
the
"Not
people.
guilty. Get
Right,
out."
yeah. These folks over here said guilty, and I'm the guy reading it. I'm not an activist judge. Stop that stuff. So again, I think people. I think politics and religion and society in whole has taken on a very sports team atmosphere.
Yes. 100%.
Right? Like, I got to defend my team at all costs. And I think that's terrible.
I agree.
And I think, to me, I mentioned earlier, I'm very pro law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I think law enforcement in this country has done a horrible job in dealing with the community. I think we all know in any department there's a handful of idiots.
Oh, yeah, I've said that for years.
You'll find that in any job.
You bet.
There's a handful of idiots.
I know there's crappy mechanics and good ones.
The problem with the police is and has been for a long time, and maybe this is the union, maybe this is a union problem, but it's that they defend every idiot on the police force.
Yes.
And I say you take that racist cop that's been accused of assaulting people, you get rid of him.
Yep.
Because he's giving a black eye to all the good ones. And again, rather than like, hey, these guys got to do, it's like, no, these guys are doing their jobs, and 99% of them are doing it great. And there's a couple of bad ones. We want to get rid of the bad ones. It's just like the comedian Steve Hofstetter, who you probably hate. He makes
heard of him.
He makes a lot of jokes about gun people. And his whole thing is we're not coming for your guns. But you've been to the range, and there's that guy that shows up where you're like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. That guy's nuts.
Yep.
That's the guy we're all talking about. That's the guy we don't want to. Not you. Him. You're with us.
Wait.
You're with us. That's the guy we don't want to have a gun.
I never saw the guy like that at the range.
Really? I don't know that guy. I noticed, though, when I get there, everyone clears out. Maybe that's why.
Reminds me of a joke I heard years ago.
But isn't that funny? I mean, that's an interesting thought. And it's like, yeah, I mean, listen, not for nothing, but every time a Democrat gets in office, do you know what happens?
They're coming for, the gun sales go up. I know.
Gun sales go through the roof. And the
used to-
Republican politicians will tell you they're coming for your guns. And Obama was coming for your guns. And Biden was
Sales
coming
were
for your
good.
guns. Look where we are now.
Gun sales are down.
What is Obama playing the long game on the guns or what? He left office, his vice president, and they still haven't come for the guns.
All of his went to Mexico.
I got a feeling they're not coming for the guns. Anyway, right? I mean, I'm not a fan of rhetoric. I don't like bullshit rhetoric. I hate that, as a matter of fact. When I talk to politicians and they give me the company line, I go, no. Try me again. Again, this is how I got to be friendly with Bob Stefanowski. Bob Stefanowski would come on, and it was a lot of, we can't do 4 more years of Ned Lamont. It's too expensive. Okay.
What are you going to do?
You're probably right. What would be different under you?
Yes. That's what I want to know.
And it took a couple of appearances, but, I mean, he started talking about, capital gains, and he started talking about taking off the cap on property taxes and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about.
The meat and potatoes.
You need to talk policy to me.
Yes.
Don't give me the fear tactics. Crime's rampant. Well, the FBI said it's not. So if either the FBI's lying or this politician running for office is lying, I still believe the FBI.
And even if it is, what are you going to do about it?
Correct.
Are you going to
increase
increase
do
funding?
about it?
Are you
right? Does that guy have a better plan than you?
Show me
It might be spiking under him, but if he's tackling the problem, then I suppose I should go with the guy with a plan. So I always push I remember, my goodness, Laura Devlin, who ran with Bob, was out with me every week for like 6 weeks leading up to the election. And I love her to death. I think she's fantastic. One of the last appearances just before the election, she gave me we cannot afford 4 more years under Ned Lamont. Connecticut will go under. Now, mind you, that was 4 years ago, and we haven't gone under. To her point, it has become more expensive, but we've survived it. It's not chaos in the streets.
Not yet.
So I don't let people get away with saying stuff like that, right? It's like, no, I mean, say the real thing. And what would you do to fix it?
Exactly.
I'm trying to help you push your message. I noticed on Bob Stefanowski's ads on Facebook as a Republican, right? And he puts stuff out. I see it. It's going to be in my feed. Most of the people that commented, and again, a lot of it was just anti-Ned Lamont stuff, which, yeah, we're all anti-Ned Lamont. What are you doing? What is your thing? And people were asking him that time and time again. And when I was bashing him on the air because I couldn't get him on the show. To the point where I bashed him so much, he called the radio station to try to get on the show. And the first couple of appearances were a little combative, and then again, I was like, Bob, I'm trying to understand what you're trying to do here.
Yeah.
I said to him, I go, look, I'm on your ads. I see all your ads on Facebook, and I see all these. My fellow Republicans are asking you, well, how are you different? What would you do differently?
Exactly.
And we don't ever get that answer from you. I know what Ned Lamont's going to do. I don't love all of it, but I would rather I would rather go with the known animal than I don't know what this guy's going to do.
Yeah.
You're not saying any plans. And so, again, he started really talking policy with me. And I thought that was really important.
That's
now,
what
he ended up losing by a ton the second time through. But at least I thought he was able to, and I remember telling him, your commercials are terrible. And I don't know if you remember the one with him and his family. He was so excited to tell me about that. I thought that one was a little late in the game, where they talked about what a good guy he was.
Oh, yes,
His wife
now
says
I
he's
do.
cute. I said,
Yes.
I said, I thought you should have dropped that a year ago. I think people wanted to know who the other guy was.
Yes.
And I think you did your campaign a disservice by focusing so much on how bad Ned Lamont is.
Yes.
If I think he's doing a bad job, I already think that. Now it's a matter of, you got to motivate me to get off my ass to come vote for you.
Correct, because it's cold in November.
Yeah.
And if you want me to go down and vote for you before I get to work, it's just like, I forget which, I think it was Chicago. Somebody just put out an ad, and all it was fuck Trump.
Oh, my God,
and I'm
yes.
like, okay, clearly you don't like him. Fine. I'm not going to sit and debate and argue, but what are you doing to change whatever it is
I watched that
you're
earlier.
working on?
I watched that ad earlier, and I'll tell you right now, it's a black woman running for Congress in a 75% liberal district.
She doesn't have to
She
placate
knows,
to anybody.
right? She can run fuck Trump ads
And it's
because
in the bag.
that's going to play great in that area.
Great for clips.
She's
in the bag.
couldn't run for senator with that message. That would not fly.
No.
So, again, that's where you see the more extreme characters in politics. They're all Congress people because they're coming from a district that's as loony-toony as they are.
They are knuckin' fucks.
Yeah. So.
Fucking crazy. Outside of politicians, what kind of celebrities have you met? Like, big names, and who has like pleasantly surprised you? Like, you were like, this one's probably gonna be a stuck-up bitch, and you're like, wow, she's actually down to earth, or this guy's actually cool.
I'll tell you a funny story about Justin Timberlake. I met him in 1997.
Oh, at the
there
height,
had been a boxing match on. I want to say it was either Tyson or Holyfield. It was a big boxing
That's right.
match.
You're a big boxing fan.
And I'm a big boxing fan, and I was talking to a couple of my buddies backstage. It was NSYNC Day at the New Haven Coliseum. Governor Malloy had declared, no, who the hell was the governor then? Oh, Rowland. I think it was John Rowland had declared it NSYNC Day. And so we're doing this big thing. Justin Timberlake walked over, and come to find out, he's a big fight fan, too.
No kidding.
Yes.
Did not know that.
Justin Timberlake wanted to get into this conversation with us about boxing, and instead I boxed him out of the conversation. And
you cock blocked the guy with the cock in the box?
I did. Isn't that crazy? And I always felt bad about that because, again, as a back in the day, like 1997, like, this guy's big, and now, right? I mean, that was just kind of how things were back in the day there. And now it's like,
boy band.
Oh my God, this guy's such a good singer, and I love his
movies.
He's
a good actor.
Yeah, he's great on SNL. Like, am I a Justin Timberlake fan? Yeah, a little bit. I think you grow and evolve as a person, and so that one, I always kicked myself on that because that guy just wanted to have a conversation with me about boxing, and I didn't think he was worthy, and how stupid was that? I was a big Third Eye Blind fan.
Okay.
And gosh, I got to meet them in 1999 at the Omni Hotel in New Haven. And they had just kicked Kevin Cadigan, the guitar player, out of the band. And he would eventually come back and then depart again. But the story had just broke that they kicked him out. and they were in this room at the Omni, and Stephen Jenkins, the lead singer, comes walking out, and he's like locked right on me, and he comes right at me, and this is what I said: Kevin Cadigan sucks. And Stephen Jenkins looked at me and he said, "Hey, man, that's our brother. We're just going through some stuff right now." And then he just walked right past me and started talking to the other people. And I was like, oh, my God. Don't ever open your mouth ever again. It's unnecessary. The best thing that ever happened to me celebrity-wise, I was doing an appearance with the boxer Joe Frazier. And so we're standing there for pictures, and then somebody suggested we square off for a few couple pictures. You know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked up at him, and I went, "Hey, champ, you still got it?" And before I shut my mouth, he threw a jab and hit me right in the mouth.
Damn.
Yeah. I ate a punch from Joe Frazier. That's the coolest thing that ever happened to me.
That is cool.
I mean, straight up. It sucked and hurt for like a few seconds, but
it's shocking.
I
too,
got
I'm
punched
sure.
in the face by Joe Frazier, and to this day, I still think that's one of the best things that have ever happened. But yeah, I like talking to celebrities. My whole style is to talk to them like regular people.
Because they are regular people.
I think they like that best. They respond better when you ask them like how they're doing before you get going. I generally will just get the recorder recording. I don't do like my special guest, because I can add an intro in when I deliver it live on the air.
Yeah.
I'll literally sit down. I'm already recording, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's new? How's it going?" And they might even be moving their stuff around still a little bit.
They're
Like,
warming
"Oh,
up."
yeah, no good." And then they start telling you about something personal. They don't realize that that's the interview. And you're saying this on the record, and they might say something to me that they wouldn't share otherwise. And then I just keep the conversation going. Oftentimes, I can see the look on their face. Obviously, this is in-person interviews where they're like, "Wait a minute. Is he just recording all of this?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've had times, Sean Wayans, I think, was the best one I did this with, where when Sean had that moment where he realized everything he had said was all being recorded, and that the interview was, we were like 6 minutes into the interview.
When he realized started.
This is the interview. Yeah. And he said to me, he said something to the effect of like, "Oh, this is the interview." And we were all laughing because he had just said something funny, and it occurred to him he was oversharing. And I'll tell you what, Eric, for the next 8 or 9 minutes, he didn't say jack shit. Everything was choppy, short, yes, no, and he got really uncooperative. And so that, again, I think when it comes to interviewing, I think that's one of the things you got to do is a lot of the times when we're interviewing people, right, you're like talking to a comedian. You're like, "So when did you know you were funny?" Do you think you're the first person that ever asked that question?
What was your first joke?
Have you always been a class clown? If I were to go to your show Friday night, what can I expect? And it's like, did you not do any research?
Did you not see
the
show?
I'm going to try to set you up with some of your material. I'm going to lead you into a bit. Like, right? I'm not. But one of the things I do like to ask them is just about them, like personally. And again, by not making a big deal about the about the interview starting, and to just be like, "So, man, how you doing today?" You get a lot of good stuff right there. And it's about making the other person feel comfortable and being willing to open up. And again, I've noticed sometimes when they feel like they're being interrogated, not interviewed, they can be defensive and they're less likely to open up. And so again, I sort of react to the interview. I did an interview just before the election of 2016 with Monique, who's a black comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I spoke for 45 minutes for what should have been a 12-minute interview.
Oh, my God.
And most of the interview was about what it's like to be a black woman in America with an impending possible Trump presidency, as opposed to the first female president in Hillary, and your thoughts and concerns. there were a few moments in there where the moments of brevity where we laughed, but mostly it was a really serious conversation. Nothing you would have expected from a comedian, and it might have been the best interview I've ever done.
That's amazing.
And it, again, was not I mean, if you would have told me, like, you're going to have a really serious conversation with this woman today about politics and society, I'd have been like, no.
No, we're doing comedy.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to be laughing a lot.
And she hugged me at the end, and she said, you know what? You're a good white person, and I wish more white people were like you. I wish more people cared. I wish more people cared to ask what it's like.
Aww.
And then when I tell them my experience, then they go, no, that's not what it's really like, which is, again, the tendency. Here's the funny thing I think about white people who are not racist. They get very upset when white people are called racists. Like, it's like they find it personally insulting. And it's like, well, if you're not a racist, then you shouldn't be
Don't worry about it.
upset about hearing about people talk about racism. And if someone does accuse you of racism, you can easily be like, no. I don't subscribe to that at all. And I understand a lot of the times when it comes to conservatives who feel like they're being painted as a racist because of their association with racists is paramount to being considered anything because of your association with anybody, and it is unfair. And I think even if you support Donald Trump's racist policies, I don't think that makes you a racist. Again, whether those are racist policies or not,
yeah.
I don't
know
see how you agreeing with it makes you a racist.
Correct. That's kind of like doing the knee jerk of, well, the Democrats created the KKK.
Right.
That does not mean every Democrat supports those morons.
Right. It is exactly that. And I think,
like you said earlier, too much teams.
The thing that really annoys me, and again, I found this a lot in talk radio, was, again, this idea that, and it applies both to sports and politics, right? If I say, man, I wish Donald Trump, I don't like Trump's tariffs. Yeah, you think Joe Biden's great? Wow, I don't know where you would have gotten that from what I just said. I'm talking about tariffs and that I don't like them, and you think that's me endorsing Joe Biden?
It's like you saying you like apples. Well, what? You don't like bananas?
Well, but there you go.
What the fuck's wrong with bananas?
If I suggest that, the Yankees, the bottom half of the Yankees starting lineup this year is a little bit, what do you like, the Red Sox?
Well, are you a Sox fan now?
It's like, no, I'm just objectively looking at my team, and I have a concern. Me expressing that concern out loud is not an endorsement of the other side.
Yeah.
It's a conversation starter about what I see as a problem. And I think we should address the problem. But again, I think there's that fallback, again, sports, politics, and everything else, where if someone criticizes your thing, you get super defensive, like it's an attack on and it's like, oh my God, what is going on?
Not all or nothing.
When I hear people call people snowflakes, it's like, you guys are all fucking snowflakes.
Everybody's a
You're
snowflake.
all big, crying fucking babies.
Yup.
And I think if I'm anything, Eric, it's that I'm not that. I'm not a baby because I don't take sides, because I can objectively tell you that the Yankees are not winning the World Series this year. I'm strongly confident in that, and I'm as big a Yankee fan as you will find. But as I look at this team, it's too flawed. The competition around them has become too good. I don't see a scenario where the Yankees win the World Series. My mother will hear this and be pissed. Every year my mother says the Yankees are going to win the World Series. And then in 96, 98, 99, and 2000, she's like, see, I told you. And then I'm like, yeah, but what about 97, 95, 94, 93, and every other year that you've said they're going to win it? You think they're going to win it every year. I can tell you objectively whether or not I find if they're going to be competitive enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan, but I'm not a homer.
Correct.
And I think that's where I think we all need to sort of separate ourselves from the thing and objectively look at it. I'll tell you the other thing I find. If you're going to argue with me about Black Lives Matter or some liberal organization, do some basic research. Don't tell me it's a Marxist organization. It's not. Somebody involved, one of the directors has a background in Marxism or whatever, and so that makes the whole organization Marxist. It's not. It's an reverse or it's a reverse discrimination group. Nope. I'll be the first to tell you, I think what they should have named that movement was Black Lives Matter also, or Black Lives Matter as well, because that's what they're really trying to convey there. And again, I think if the Democrats have done anything poorly, it's their messaging is terrible.
Everybody's messaging sucks.
Defund the police is not literally what it sounds like. It wasn't meant to not have police.
Correct.
And I don't blame Republicans for running with that and pushing, hey, they want to get rid of the cops. It's like, no, they don't. They want to put counselors and mental health people in those crisis moments so that you don't have 22-year-old cops just out of the academy like trying to talk a hostage situation down. We want to put people in better positions is what they're saying and make the cops less the aggressors when it comes to civilians. Trying to help the cops, and the message came across like they want to get rid of the police.
One thing about police that I think is totally ignored, and it's not only police but the military, PTSD.
Oh, sure.
I mean, what's a routine traffic stop? There's no such thing because you don't know who's in that car. And I can't imagine, I mean, look, it's already stressful just driving from point A to point B. I can't imagine getting out of my car knowing, okay, this car I'm now approaching, is this my last? I mean, that's a stressful situation. Plus all the other, shit you've dealt with through all the years and seen. There's also, you don't want to talk about it. There's a big curtain and a shroud over that because now your brothers and sisters may not be able to trust you. You don't want to do that. And it's like, you guys need to deal with this because it does snowball, in my opinion, to other things.
Sure.
You reacted poorly because you had a really bad situation. Not to go down the whole political thing, but what happened in Minnesota with Renee Good. Again, I definitely don't want to go into that, but that officer, not splitting hairs who's right or wrong, but that officer was 6 months prior hit by a vehicle.
Yep.
Could that, I'm sure.
Oh, 100%.
You
How
bet.
could it not?
You don't. So I think mental health is one of the big things. Not only funding, training, and yes, community reach out. And also, people, you also have to take some ownership and responsibility of your own actions too. Don't get me wrong. But I think counseling for the officers and maybe jujitsu for better tactical, restraints and whatnot. But mental health is important. And I don't think that's totally just breezed over.
I'm against traffic cameras.
Yes.
I want to give the police all the resources they need, especially to solve crimes. I have real concerns about the data.
Don't give me a ticket when I'm just trying to get to the dispensary.
Right?
Okay? I'm out.
Again, I'm pro law enforcement. I want to give them the tools. I'm not necessarily willing to sacrifice my liberties for the convenience of them solving, a couple more cases. So...
yeah, Windsor just shut off a bunch of those cameras.
Listen, people have concerns. There's, and it's funny. I think this is a bipartisan issue here. I think you have people on both sides that are very concerned about their data being taken when they have not committed a crime. And I think that's the other thing. I think there are, and I love watching videos like this on social media, there's a lot of cops that don't know the law.
Yes. My buddy loves watching those.
Again, I'm very pro law enforcement. You guys got to know. You guys got to know your job. You got to know what my rights are. You got to know what your rights are. And if I know more than you do, then we've got a real problem on our hands. To get to the Renee Good thing, by the way, and I'm not going to go down that road too much, but if he was suffering from PTSD, he probably shouldn't have been on the street.
Yes,
right. I mean, if that guy, and so I look. Also to your point, I think mental health is a huge problem in this country.
Big time.
It's greatly undiagnosed.
Yes.
And I think also to your point, I don't think we know what to do with people that are suffering from it. It's like, should that cop be back on the streets? Yeah, you know what? He said he was fine. I'm sure he did. Right? It's like in a football game, like Jackson Dart gets busted in the head. You think he's going to ask to go into the concussion tent?
He's in the other team's huddle.
You're going to have to, yeah. Right, you're going to have to drag his ass into the concussion protocol tent because he wants to keep on playing. And so I do think we need to do a better job with that. I'll tell you this. I think policemen, I think pilot and I think doctor are three of the most difficult jobs on the planet. I think
what about nurses?
When I say doctors, I mean nurses, because we all know they're the ones that do the real work.
You're the man.
Thank you. But I think when you have a job like that, again, I'm very sympathetic and I'm very supportive of the police, but my God, there is a real fine line there.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to be at your best.
Yeah.
You cannot make mistakes in any of those industries I just mentioned, right? Yeah. Doctor, pilot, right? If you're a pilot and you've only got one crash on your resume, you're probably dead, as are like 300 people.
Exactly.
It's not the kind of job you can fuck up.
Yep.
And I'll tell you right now, Eric, I have all the empathy in the world for people that do those jobs, knowing that if you do the wrong thing, you're under scrutiny for your mess up. Most of us can mess up at work from time to time, and
whoops,
maybe you get written up.
My bad.
These people, it's bad.
Bad.
I guess the other thing I would say is, this before the riots of 2021,
the summer of love.
How many cops were going to shoot somebody unarmed in the back? It's like, do you motherfuckers watch the news? That is like the number one thing to not do right now. Stop shooting people in the back. God damn it.
Stop.
Shoot him in the face. Don't shoot him in the back.
With a flare gun.
Oh, my God. Like, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. It's like, oh, my God. Can someone just go to all these police departments and like, hey, not in the back. Damn it.
How about the people driving past the buses with the lights on? Haven't you seen the news?
Oh, my God.
This is high profile.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The fact that our local fucking news needs to tell adults in 2026 not to drive past a fucking bus with the lights on, I'm sorry. I knew that when I was 6.
Also, I've heard ads where they remind you to check your back seat in the summertime.
If you need to be reminded to not leave your kid in the back seat, you should go to the local fire department and go, here, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
And walk away.
Now, I will say this.
I take that away as somebody who's never been sleep deprived from having a newborn, so I will not point fingers at those that went, uh-oh.
I've never forgotten my kids in the car. Okay?
Often. I'm just kidding.
I've never done it.
On purpose.
I hate to say this, Eric. I get it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person where, and I find this is in a lot of these scenarios, it was like the mom or dad, it wasn't a normal pickup drop-off kind of day. Like something got a little askew. Yep. And I will tell you this, again, having never been in that situation, I could totally understand. As a matter of fact, Eric, when I was driving over here, I have to consciously think about, because the same way I go to work is the same route I take to get here.
Same.
And I have a couple of times texted Jim, and I'm like, oh, my God, dude, I'm halfway to Bloomfield. And I'm supposed to be going to Farmington, which is west.
Yep. I did that this morning.
I literally, because I texted you when I got to that light. As I'm pulling towards that light, I always am in the right lane. And it's like, nope, you're going to go straight through this intersection. And I move over. And that's when I texted you, because I had that moment of like, oh, my God, I was about to drive towards Bloomfield, and I think I was about 5 minutes late for you this morning. Easily would have been 15. Easily would have been 15, because I've done it before. So I understand when you get out of routine. I mean, I guess if your kid's a baby and sleeping or whatever, I don't know how you – but – I can kind of understand.
Exactly. Like I said, finally the kid, you were driving around with the kid to get at the colicky, and they're finally quiet. And again, sleep deprived. Like I said, I've never had it. I've known friends. Like, I'm not judging, but it does make me go, what the fuck? Get your pride and joy, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. So since you've been in the industry 30 plus years, you've been podcasting for how many years?
I started podcasting in 2016.
And when did you start your favoritely named Clover Crest Media Group?
So, all right, 2016, I started podcasting, and I was podcasting for maybe a year and a half, and I said to the school, I'm like, we should start. I started doing workshops here on podcasting. That's how it started. Now, it's obviously a part of the curriculum. There's classes on it and everything, but I saw around that time, like, we got to get on top of this. A lot of people said to me, like, "Oh man, you got in early," and it's like, no, early was 2004. That was early. I embraced it a lot, and I loved it because there was just something cooler about it.
It's
And
freer.
I also saw, and I've been stressing this to graduates and stuff, that it's a great way to practice. It's also a great way to get your name out there. People will find your podcast if it's good, and you could get jobs from it, which has literally happened to me. Clovercrest Media came about, workshops turned into a class, I had so much interest in it. How do I launch a podcast? It costs about $100 a month production-wise, I think, to have a podcast on mass distribution. If you have your own server, whatever the case may be, Google Drive storage, all that. By the time, Adobe, all the stuff that you're going to need to do all the recording, you're looking at about $100 a month.
It's an investment.
We, at the school, right, I started working with, I was doing my podcast. I started doing it from the school exclusively. And then a couple others popped up. Students, graduates, and I was producing all of them. And as we continue to expand 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, now we have 7, now we're up to 9. It's like, you know what? I think we can combine resources here, right? If you're all paying $20 a month for a server and there's 10 of us, right? It's $200.
Yeah.
What if I just pay for it? I have the server, and then you guys pay me a share, and that way we'll keep everybody's costs down. So that's initially what I was doing. It was everybody was going to be on my server. I had a Google Drive. You can all store your stuff on my Google Drive, and right, so you're paying a couple bucks for the Google Drive. You're paying a couple bucks for the server. You're paying a couple bucks for, I built a website, put everybody's show up on the website, clovercrest.com/Eric Unfiltered. So you don't have to pay for a website. You don't have to pay for the storage. We're all just sharing in a cost.
That's pretty
It was
cool.
a very socialist podcast situation.
Very, very communist.
Right?
Welcome
and so,
to Connecticut. I'm just teasing.
Slowly but surely, Eric, the pandemic came. Before the pandemic, right? I mean, we launched it as a company, and we actually produced the ads for the anti-toll.
Oh, nice.
That was my company.
Nice.
Yeah, that was our first real project as a group.
I like those.
And so as COVID approached, even before that, during the summer of love, I had a couple of African Americans who wanted to do podcasts, kind of addressing some of this stuff. So again, I'm just launching podcasts, producing podcasts, and this other podcasts, established podcasts, started reaching out about your podcasts are so amazingly edited, and the sound quality is fantastic. How do I get that? And so I started pulling in clients just based off of the good work that I was doing. I had several companies that wanted to merge and buy out my company or hire me onto their company in a director role to kind of oversee what they were doing, and I passed up on all of that. I liked just building out my own thing. I had 5 business partners when the company started. Within a year, I got rid of my business partners, and about a week later, I noticed the money really started to add up, and business really started taking off.
Nice.
And so that's how Clovercrest came to be. It wasn't my intention to start a business. We just sort of collectively started working together, all these different podcasts, and as I built out the network, I really started a business to save people money, if that makes sense.
It does.
Not why most people start businesses, but that was what started mine. And now, I've taken a step back from the company a little bit. I still do a lot of freelance editing work for a lot of these different podcasts that have been with me for a few years. But, yeah.
In the 30 plus years that you've been in this industry, I'm sure you've met obviously wild people, cool people, and have been involved in a lot of things that really, hit you where you're like, I'm really glad that I was a part of this. Can you tell me a few of those?
The greatest thing I ever did was was it 2013, that blizzard that hit Connecticut?
We got 3 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
I was at the radio station for days on end. We weren't playing music. We were just literally trying to coordinate cleanup and safety issues and taking live calls, doing live interviews with the Red Cross and Eversource, and when's power going to be back on, getting updates, talking to higher-ups in government. People talked about that for years. And I think that was really a moment where I really think I became who I became as a respected radio personality. Some of our competitors didn't go into work and then couldn't because the roads were obviously almost impassable. And I just stayed there. And, again, I think radio works best on the local community level.
Mm-hmm.
And to have been able to make a difference in people's lives when they were in maybe their most crisis moment, I think really forged a bond and I think really solidified what it is that I do. I think that to me that will always stand out to me, And I also think we had a similar situation with Hurricane Sandy or another one of those storms where, again, it was, the work that we stopped playing music completely and commercials. And it was, let's give the community what they need and what they rely on. And I feel like it makes me laugh, too, because during COVID, I was not working in radio. And a lot of my radio friends passed along a meme, and it was from a tweet from a millennial who said, I wish there was a place that we could go to for up-to-date, accurate updates on COVID. And all these people on the radio were like, it's called the radio. And it's like, yes, and you're so fucking irrelevant to those people because you haven't been catering to the younger audience at all.
Correct.
And they don't even know what the radio is.
Correct.
And that's, to me, a terrible mark on the radio industry, that it gets so focused on the 25 to 54-year-old money demo, even more specific to 35, 54 adults. That's the money people. Those are the money spenders. Everyone's trying to program to that. Well, what about...
They're eventually going to be 35
Correct.
to 55.
So when you leave them hanging and then you're like, why aren't they listening? Well, because you weren't there for them. We all grew up listening to the radio and taping songs off the radio and stuff, and it was a big part of our lives. And radio managed to make itself irrelevant. Now, that said, by the way, it is still the number one medium by a mile. More people listen to radio than use the internet, watch television, any of the streaming services. Radio is still the most convenient and most listened to medium that we have on this planet. And it will always be there as long as they keep putting radios in cars.
Wow, that's pretty wild. All right, I got a question for a couple of funny stories. Before we got in here, you mentioned that you went out to someplace last Saturday. Was a cannabis event, and you had a story on that. And then after that, before we completely close out, I am going to hold you hostage until you tell me the story, or tell us the story of, well, when you were held hostage.
All right.
So first, we'll do the cannabis one.
So last weekend, there was the Cannabis Expo in Connecticut. Now, this is just, I think this is a good example of who I am and how I go about my business and why I've been successful for as long as I have, and how and why I don't take shit from anybody. I'm very confident in the work that I do. I think I'm outstanding. Okay. And that's
He's
not.
so modest.
I
I'm
know.
just-
I know that's. And I only mean it because I'm confident in the work that I do.
Yes.
I'm not looking for accolades. I don't need anyone to kiss my ass. I don't ask people to vote for me in the readers polls. I don't give a shit about that stuff.
No, dude, it's true. Even in class, not to cut you off, I'd be like, I have a question. You just come over and bang, bang, bang. I'm like, okay, rewind that in slow because.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I'm good at what I do. I like what I do. I don't need accolades for what I do. And I don't need someone to tell me I'm doing good, and I don't need someone to point out what they think I'm doing poorly, because if they're wrong about what they think I'm doing poorly, we're going to have a problem. And I've butted heads with my boss quite a bit in the 2 years since I've been at Full Power. And I'll say he's as passionate about the business as I am. He doesn't know as much as I do about programming radio. He just doesn't. I've been doing this for, as you said, almost 30 years. This next year will be 30 years. I don't need someone to tell me how to do my job, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to tell me to do my job, then you should do it. And I've made
Why am I here?
I've made that suggestion to him on a few occasions, but we've butted heads a few times. So on Thursday, I was asked, could you do the expo, which is on Valentine's Day? I'm like, ugh. I said, what time is it? It's 10 to 5. I go, I'll do like noon to 2. Give me a couple hours. I go, I could do a third hour if you need me to. We're gonna be interviewing clients is what it's gonna be, and I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's possible as the information was construed. Joe said he could do 12 to 2. It goes to the promotions person, and she emails the boss. Yeah, Joe will do 12 to 2. Can he do 10 to 12? Can he do 10 to 12? Can he do 10 to 12? And I guess it trickles back like that. And so I didn't know anything about that. Can he be there for 10 to 12, do the 10 to 12? Schedule comes out, and it's got me listed at 10 to 12. I have never heard anything about 10 to 12. Saturday morning, even on Friday, I said on air, you can catch me at the expo. I'll be there this weekend from 12 to 2. So that's what I said I was going to do.
Yep.
Somehow it got misconstrued, and people decided 10 to 12 is a better time. And so that's what they put on the schedule. And the promotions guy gets there, and something about he has to run to the station. He's not going to be there right at 10. And I'm like, I don't care.
I'm not going to be there.
I'll be there at 12. And he goes, you're supposed to be there at 10 to 12. No. And then he screenshots the schedule, and it says 10 to 12.
That's nice.
So I emailed the woman that was going to be there on Sunday, Amy Gray, and I was like, hey, I go, they got the schedule at 10 to 12. I said 12 to 2 or later, but I'm having breakfast with my family. It's Valentine's Day. And she said, can you be there for 11? And I said, no, it's almost 10. It's like 10 o'clock. I haven't had breakfast yet. I got to take a shower still. No, I'll be there at the time I said. So I take my phone, I charge it in my studio, and I went upstairs to have breakfast with my family. Then I take a shower. I come downstairs. I grab my laptop and the equipment I needed for the broadcast. I pick up my phone. I get in my car. I'm driving to the AquaTurf. When I say I'll be there at 12, Eric, that means I'll be there at 11:45 because we got to be 15 minutes for a remote. And so when I said 12, understand that means 11:45, and I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah.
So I left my house by 11:15, knowing I would get there at about quarter of. I get in the car, I start driving. I looked out at my phone, 20 missed calls, all sorts of text messages. The schedule says, so I pick up the phone and I call this guy up. And, hello? He doesn't, that's the only word he gets out. I go, I don't know where the fuck this 10 to 12 nonsense came from. I was asked 2 days ago, I said 12. If somebody would have been like, you got to be there at 10, I would have been like, get someone else. I don't want to do it. That's too early.
Yeah.
So no. So he was like, well, you weren't calling me back. Well, I was eating breakfast, and I'm going to be there at the time I said I would be there. And I don't know why anybody had any questions about it. You've known me for 2 years now. Have I ever not shown up to something I was going to be at? No. So I don't understand the concern. Well, and then he gets, he's things happen. I was worried about you. I said, I will always be where I tell you I'm going to be. Okay? I'll be there at 12. I'm going to hit the ground running. You know, our big sponsor was, I said, I'm going to wine and dine him. He goes, oh, I know you are. You're a professional. I go, yeah, I don't understand all the concern. So I get to the event. He gets to the event. And he's in a great mood. Things are going great. I'm wining and dining all the clients, putting them all on the air. Everyone's having a great time. He brings up the fact that I hadn't called him right back. And I was like, I said, listen, I know you and I don't always, and I was going to say get along, and he went, hate each other? I said, yes, that. I said, I know you and I hate each other. I would never stand you up, and I would never leave you hanging, especially when it comes to clients. More than anybody, I understand the value of what you're doing here, dude. Right? And again, I know you and I don't always see eye to eye. I would never fuck you guys over like that. I wouldn't do it. That's not in my nature. As much as I don't like you, I wouldn't purposely make you look bad. And then he was like, well, you know, Amy said that you would be there for 10, so I was, and I go, I don't know why she said that. He's like, well, she did. So I texted her. I said, why the hell did you tell him I'd be here at 10? And she said, I panicked. Oh. And I said to him, I go, you know, I said, this is the problem. Nobody wants to tell you no. Nobody wants to be the guy that gives you the bad news. And he went, good. I said, no, not good.
No, that's
not good.
That's bad.
I said, part of the reason you and I don't see eye to eye is I tell you what I see. I tell you what I think the problems are because I need you to be aware of those things. I'm not telling you that shit to break your balls or because I know better, but nobody else will.
You need to know what you need to know.
Exactly. And so that Monday, you know, everybody wanted to have a meeting about it and figure out why. And I said, you guys are welcome to have a meeting to figure out whatever you want. I'm not interested and I won't be there. Okay? It went great. I got there at the time I said I would be there. I killed it for 3 hours and I went home. End of story. And that was the last that I would address it. And again, in this business, for a guy like you who's up and coming in the industry, you got to stand up for yourself. There's nobody here to represent you. There's no one that's going to speak on your behalf. And I've seen a lot of radio personalities, you know, they tend to prey on the weak. You don't see the big ego radio personalities anymore. They were too much to deal with.
They're assholes.
And so I'm on the line between that. My coworkers love me. They'll tell you, I mean, there's no ego there at all. I love my coworkers. But when I deal with management or people of that ilk, it's all you're going to get from me.
You just got a problem with authority.
Again, maybe I do, but again, I've dealt with these people enough over the years that you don't know more than I do. Sorry. He's owned a station for 40 years. I still know more about programming. I still know more about being on air than you do. And so if you're going to try to tell me how to do it, you better be fucking right. You better say shit and I'm like, oh, God, you know what? I never thought of that. Yeah. And that's never going to happen. So my advice typically is
leave it to the professional.
Let me just do my shit. Believe me, I'm never mailing it in. I'm not there to skate by. You know, I can work off the cuff better than most people. I choose not to. I do a ton of prep.
Mm-hmm.
I write a lot of jokes that I then deliver on air to sound like they're not written, but they're written.
Like that iRock one.
That literally just was off the cuff. And I liked it so much I dropped it. But yeah, typically most of the stuff I do on the radio I've written. Or again, even if it's a political rant, it's something I've written. Mm-hmm. I don't have to sit there and read it word for word. I get the gist of it, and I can just go on air and give you the gist of what I was saying. I wrote it so I can even picture the words in my head.
The trigger words, yeah.
Right, the trigger words, exactly. I just got to hit the main points. I've got my notes, so if I need to kind of give it the once-over in case I missed a point. But other than that, yeah, I mean, that's typically how that all works. Now you want to hear the Jamaica story.
Yes.
All right.
As we have heard, at least the night classes. But yeah, we'll close it out with this one. Let everybody go with a big old laugh because you were working for Radio KC 101?
KC 101, and at the time, the morning show was now nationally known broadcaster Glenn Beck and Connecticut legend Vinnie Penn. That was the morning show. First and foremost, I was supposed to be back in Connecticut running the board while they were broadcasting live from a resort in Jamaica. That was the original plan. Vinnie Penn went to management and said, if Joe doesn't go, I don't go. Right? So I wasn't even supposed to go in the first place. Now I'm in. And nice. I'm in because Vinny needed his wingman. Vinny had rigged it so these two hotties were coming on the trip. Yeah, and he needed his wingman literally there. And
nice.
I'll always appreciate him for that.
Oh.
All right, so
nice.
We get to Jamaica, and I had never traveled out of the country before. But everything I knew about Jamaica made me feel like this is going to be great. I got off the airplane where we got our luggage, and this guy walks up to me, and you could tell he worked at the airport, and he goes, "Hey, man, you looking for some?" I go, "Yeah, follow me into the bathroom." Okay. And I followed him right in.
Giggity.
I'm a trusting person.
Yeah.
And so I score a bag and I leave and get back to I had a bungalow. It was
non-powdered bag, right?
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
It's just the good
the
Mary Jane. It's what
Jamaica's
you know.
known for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I go over there, right? And I think I bought a bowl at the coffee shop or something, right? Or at the front desk, and I roll up and I smoke a joint. And I meet everybody out there for lunch. That was our first official act. We all come out for lunch. There's like a dozen listeners and maybe a dozen staff. And everybody's ripped. Everybody scored at the airport.
Yeah.
Everybody's stoned.
Yeah, dude.
And so I was the one that was like, hey, why don't we put our supplies together here? Because I've always been that kind of guy. We all got this weed. I could roll up like 100 joints tonight. And we just have joints for days.
Let's go.
So we're 4 days in, right? Glenn and Vinny are doing the morning show from 6 to 10, and then the rest of the day, whatevs. We're just doing our thing. And Vinny says to me, hey, one of the sales girls on the trip met this guy, Romeo, local warlord in the area, who was on the resort, even though he shouldn't have been. And anyway, Romeo can get us some shrooms. And I had never shroomed before at this point.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, this would be great. It's a great place to do it with these beautiful women and stuff, you know?
It's tropical.
So the plan was I was going to join Romeo and two of his colleagues, and we were going to go drive and get some shrooms.
All right.
And again, I have no reason to believe that, I mean, right? These are our boys.
Yeah.
This local Jamaican warlord is our friend. I'm pretty sure the sales girl was banging this guy who she had just met.
Sure. All right.
And if he's good enough for her, he's good enough for us. So, yeah, we had like dinner with the guy the night before. We were just hanging out. And again, there's guys with machine guns on the edge of the resort making sure locals don't go on there. But Romeo, he just walks in the front door, okay? So the next day, he comes, he picks me up. I get in the car, and I hop in. It's a little white four-door, and we drive into the jungle of Negril, Jamaica.
Nice.
I mean, like, it's grass huts.
You're in the bush.
In the bush, dude. And the whole time, Eric, you know, they're asking me about radio. You're like Howard Stern, shit like that. Again, this is 1998. And like, yeah, whatever. And it's going great. And we're smoking a joint. I mean, I think there were honestly multiple joints going around this car. Like, hey, well, my turn again? Oh, hey. Just and I'm having the time of my life.
Oh, yeah, dude, you're in Jamaica, bro.
So I want to say it's 15, 20-minute ride into the bush. And we get to this hut, and we got out of the car, and next to the hut was a dog with 3 legs. The leg wasn't like freshly removed or anything. But also on the other side of the hut, there was a guy with like a butcher knife, like a butcher
cleaver?
The cleaver, yes. Now, again, the dog didn't just lose its leg. Trust me, it wasn't bleeding or anything. But I'm looking around, and I'm with these, Romeo and his henchmen, and
Band of merry men.
yeah. Next thing I know, he hands me like a little Motorola cell phone, and it's my boss, and she goes, "Are you all right?" I go, "Oh yeah." I go, "I'll be back in a little bit."
I'm barbecued, bro.
Oh, well, I didn't want her to know I was off buying drugs with these guys.
Good point. Got it.
And she's checking in on my safety.
Huh.
And I'm not hearing that.
No.
How are these guys treating you? Oh, great. Love these guys.
Barbecued.
High as a kite.
Well, yeah.
All right.
We're bros.
And then the one unsettling thing she said to me on that brief phone call was, if they mess up one hair on your head, I told them I'd have the fucking Marine Corps on this island tomorrow. And I went, "Oh, cool." and I handed the guy the phone back.
Oh, cool.
I appreciate Stephanie. She's pretty dope.
I like the Marines.
And so, we're
Cool
kind of
uniform.
hanging out and, like what's going on with these shrooms? Are we doing this or what? So as the time starts to, a big, they did like the two papers together, the long kind of joint.
Cheech and Chong in it.
And so, I don't know. We were there for like a half an hour. We smoked this giant fucking chooch. And guys, all right, get in the car. I'm like, "Where's the shrooms?" He's like, "Just get in the car." I'm like, "All right." He must have them. I don't.
Yeah.
So I get in the car. And we drive back to the resort, and I get out of the car, and all of our party is standing at the front door, the front gates of the resort. And especially the pretty girls that were there with us, they come running over, and they throw their arms around me. And I'm thinking, "Oh, yo, these bitches want to get high." Oh, hell yeah.
You heard.
And they're like, "Oh, my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah. I go, "Listen, he didn't give me any shrooms." And they were like, "Yeah, because you were kidnapped. They were holding you for ransom." What? Yeah. They paid him, and then he left. I was like, and then they're like walking me into the resort, and everyone's trying. Like, it's 8 people at once are like, "Yeah, man." They said they were gonna like chop your fucking fingers off and send it back to the resort, and I'm like, whoa, what? They're like, "Were you scared?" I'm like, "Scared? All we did was smoke and bullshit. I had a really good time. I was kidnapped." Yes, they literally ransomed you back to us. And, so I was kidnapped for probably 45 minutes.
In a foreign country.
In a foreign country. And I was none the wiser. Now, here's the cool part of this story. We didn't see Romeo the next day. 2 days later, he invited us out. Off the resort, bar right down the street, his treat.
With the ransom money?
We went.
Damn right.
Yeah. He slipped me a joint. We shook hands. It's like, we're cool. I know you tried to kidnap me, but you're buying drinks. This warlord over here kidnapping people. This guy's fucking crazy.
Their Fox News is wrong. They're not all bad.
I will tell you the best part of this story, though, and I don't know if I've ever told you this part. When we flew back to JFK, okay, I mentioned the people we were with. Glenn Beck, who is the squarest, nerdiest white guy on the planet, and does not do drugs.
No.
Does not drink. He's fucking lame. Then there's Vinny Penn. Does a lot of drugs. Does a lot of drinking. And then there was me and like at least a dozen others of us going through customs, and we had weed stuck inside everything and everywhere.
Oh my God.
And as we're walking through customs, it's like, oh, shit, dude. All right, let's go. You got to go through the lines, and they only stop a handful of people for spot searches. Guess who they stopped?
Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck. Bro, I walked by there with like a half an ounce of pot inside of my clothing and whatnot as I watched customs going through all of Glenn's shit, and it's like, that is the one guy
Our guy.
that you should have. Hey, you're good, bud. This guy, you gotta. Yeah. So I always love that story.
What do they find? Hardcover books in Argyle socks? I mean, what the fuck?
Yes.
That was hilarious. Joe, thank you for joining me today, man. Before we get out of here, you want to give everybody when they can tune in to listen to you?
Yeah. Again, I am on the WDRC Talk of Connecticut morning show, 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. You can also catch me on Radio 104.1 WMRQ weekdays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I also podcast Tuesday and Thursday nights at clovercrestmedia.com. Those are a couple of shows that I do live. And if you visit clovercrestmedia.com, you could see all the different shows that I do, especially if you're into true crime. All 4 of those true crime podcasts are on the top 100 list.
Nice.
So, yeah, really good stuff.
You have any socials? Do you want people to find you or no?
Yeah, I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. My Instagram is Radio1Joe4.
Nice.
Facebook under Joe Aguiar, and on X I am at Joe the Producer.
I'll put all the links in the description anyway. Thank you for joining me today, Joe. This
Thanks
was
for having
freaking
me.
Awesome, man. All right, if you like this episode, give it a like, share, all the internet shit. You can follow me on X at Eric Not Sorry or on Facebook at Eric Unfiltered Podcast. And until next time, keep being you.
Or don't.
Or don't.